Quick note before we start today's show, I wanted to remind you guys to check out the System is Down podcast hosted by Dan Smolt, aka Dan Smots. The podcast is all about talking about things that generally make people a little bit uncomfortable: religion, politics, conspiracy. Bottom line is Dan will talk to absolutely anyone about absolutely anything. Nothing is off the table. Recently, Dan ran into a little bit of trouble with the Facebook police. He's had his accounts banned from Facebook, his personal account, his business page accounts, his podcast accounts, his wife's account. Everything has been scrubbed from the Facebook world. So if you could, please support the System is Down podcast. The System is Down podcast. Check it out.
We are born free, and we will die free. The time in between, though, that's complicated. In that time, governments, institutions, and our egos will limit our ability to find true freedom in this life. These are real stories of real people overcoming the odds, persevering in justice, and unlocking their potential. Welcome to Finding Freedom. Here's your host, John Odermatt.
Welcome back to another edition of Finding Freedom, a weekly show here on the Lions of Liberty podcast. Airs every Thursday. It is one of three shows on Lions of Liberty. On Monday, we have our flagship program with Mark Claire. Wednesday, Electric Liberty Land with Brian McWilliams. And Thursday, this show right here. You can get all three shows in your podcast feed by simply hitting that subscribe button on whatever podcatcher you are listening to this to. So please consider doing that. And today's show, I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I'm bringing back one of the first guests I had on Felony Friday. This show used to be called Felony Friday. In case you're just catching up, it's been rebranded. It's called Finding Freedom now. I'm having back on Coss Marte, and this is a guy with an amazing story. He is a powerful entrepreneur that you guys are going to learn so much today about mindset, overcoming adversity, overcoming obstacles, and maximizing your skill set. So get comfortable, and you might want to get something to take some notes with, and definitely get ready to share this episode with your friends. Let's get into it. Today, I welcome Coss Marte back to the show. He was on the show actually way back on episode 21, of course, back then when the show was called Felony Friday. You can go back and listen to it if you like. Definitely not required for this show. We're going to talk about some of the same things, but definitely a lot of new material covered today as well. Just a quick overview of Coss. At 19, he was making more than $2 million per year selling drugs. He was using a unique and really first-of-its-kind delivery system that he refers to as sort of becoming the first Uber of the drug trade. At the age of 23, he was arrested, convicted, spent 7 years in prison, really transformed his life in prison, lost 70 pounds, changed his outlook on life, changed everything. And that led him to, after getting out of prison, becoming a very successful entrepreneur and founding a fitness company, ConBody. So we'll talk about all of that, talk about the pandemic, how he's navigated that. Coss, welcome to Finding Freedom.
No, thank you, John, for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, it's great to talk to you again. And to be honest with you, when I do interviews and people talk to me about my show and my guests and people I've had on that, I think they should go back and listen to the interview, you're a name that always comes up because I think your story is so powerful. Just the 180 that you did, not only with the successful business, but the change in your health, just the change in everything. So, I wanted to do a more recent episode of this and kind of get an update on your life and how you're navigating the pandemic and things of that nature. But before we do that, just to give people who don't know you, really so they get a sense of who you are and what you overcame. Let's start back at the beginning to start out. So when you're 19 years old, right? Yeah, when you're 19 years old, you're making $2 million a year selling drugs. Take us to that point in time. Tell us about where you were at that point in your life and what life was like for you.
Yeah, I mean, at that time it was pretty crazy in terms of like, how operations was moving forward. Before then, it was like, when I was like 16, 17 years old, I was sitting on a milk crate on a corner in front of a corner bodega in New York City, and just selling coke and crack. And then we escalated to doing delivery services. As my neighborhood started getting gentrified in the early 2000s, we went and targeted a new clientele. All the people that was working at Wall Street, and all the professionals that were young professionals that moved into the area. We just started dealing to them, and it became a whole service where we started doing like bike services and had all our friends on the block. And I think what made us, my partner back then, Joey, and I, successful was that we didn't procrastinate. We didn't procrastinate. I think that was like the number one thing that we hated, was to waste time, because every time we spent not hustling, then we were not making money. And we really believed like time was money. And like we were so money hungry that we didn't sleep we would stay up for 3 days at a time. And then like one person would crash in the side of the car. We're like brushing our teeth on the side of, the streets, using the bathroom on the streets. Like we just didn't waste, like we were 24 hours a day. And when I was 19, things started, progressing, and everybody started getting, everybody started getting on board. All our friends that were just hanging on in the corner, really procrastinating, just smoking weed, wasting their life away. That was my mentality. I would like tell them like, yo, what are you doing? Like, we have so much demand. We're making so much money. We can't even, fulfill our demand. There was calls that we just couldn't fulfill because it was just two of us at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And so we started hiring the people, our personal friends, to, get on. We started getting bikes for them, and then we started getting cars, and then it became a whole delivery service where we made business cards. I made 10,000 business cards. And it was like, it ran like an Uber service. There was no app back then. We were using flip phones, but we had the Nextels, and we were like bleeping everyone like a car service, like, go to 25th and Lex, go over here to Bedford, like we were just sending everybody to every destination, and everybody was parked in different places. And at our highest peak, we had over 20 people working with us.
Wow. So what drove you? You said you were money hungry, you and your business partner at the time, but like where did that come from? But what was making you want to work so hard?
I think I don't know. I think it was just maybe both of us grew up in poverty. We didn't have much, but like personally, myself, I was just frustrated that I couldn't get, like, my family couldn't get anything for me. I always had to wear my hand-me-downs from like my sisters or my cousins, like if they had sneakers or whatever, like I was just like, my mom was like shopping at Salvation Army, I couldn't even I had to get my own candy. You know what I mean? My mom couldn't buy the candy. You know what I mean? So at a very early age, I had to go get it, by myself, and do different hustles. I remember 5, 6 years old collecting cans, from neighbor to neighbor, putting them in garbage bags, going down to the bodega, changing them for nickels, so that's what I was doing. I don't know. It was just inside me that, I was a hustler, but I also think I got it from, my parents, especially my mom. She was like the number one hustler. She used to sell like this, it was called Jafra. It was like a lotion. It was like the Avon, lotion companies. But she would like stop people in the street, put some lotion on people. We'll be in the subway when I was a kid, and she'll start a conversation and like squirt somebody, and be like, hey, smell that, blah, blah, blah. It was just like seeing her just, and she always said, like, if you don't ask, you don't eat. You know what I mean? So I think it was just that mentality. And that's how I always thought, and that's how I still think, I've had as like, I'm not greedy anymore. Like, I feel like everything's going to be provided in some way, somehow, nowadays. But back then it was, if you were not making money, I didn't want to talk to you.
I like that. If you don't ask, don't eat. That kind of leads me to my next question. And I think I know the answer, but some people in that situation might apply themselves and, be looking at, doing the best they can in school, trying to, get the best grades so they can go and get a job. So was it, really seeing your mother setting this example, this entrepreneurial spirit, seeing that exchange of, asking someone and then getting a sale? Is that what drove you towards, really being an entrepreneur, selling drugs, rather than applying yourself academically and going that direction?
Yeah, no, I mean, I always did well in school, especially math. I was always pretty good at math. But it was just, it was in my neighborhood. I had cousins that were sitting on the corner, all the time. And I just learned the tricks of the trade from like my family members, and I saw that they were making money and I wanted to make money too. So I started standing on the corner with them, and I felt like there was no real, immediate, like instant gratification. And, exactly like my mom had that instant gratification when she sold a lotion to a stranger, you know what I mean? And made that happen. And for me, it was like, I sold drugs and I saw that instant gratification. I saw that money right in my pocket right away, and I loved that feeling.
So when you were 23, you were arrested, or was that 23 when you were convicted?
23 when I was arrested, yeah.
You were arrested. You ended up doing 7 years in prison, and I know you had this big transformation. So kind of walk us through, what was your mindset and what was your state of mind health-wise, even when you went into prison, and then what caused that shift to happen?
It was, I don't know. I think I still had the same mindset when I was definitely inside. When I was arrested, it was not towards the end of my incarceration that I started changing my mindset of doing the right thing. For me, I was still hustling in there. I was still operating stuff from the prison phones and letters, and sneaking in drugs. Getting officers to bring me stuff in, and the mentality didn't stop. It was just like a nonstop, mentality that I had to get it. Even I was facing, I was gonna get 12 years. Like that was my mandatory minimum. And thank God, like while I was incarcerated, the law has changed, and I got to receive 7 years. And so that was just my mentality. But towards the end of my incarceration, I had like a spiritual awakening in solitary confinement that changed my way of thinking. I started reading the Bible, and I read the Bible from front to back. And I realized what I was really doing was wrong, that I was not only affecting my son, who, I had to teach him his ABCs through a prison payphone. I was not only affecting him, my family, but I was affecting the thousands of people that I sold drugs to. And I said I needed to give back to society in some way, somehow. And I was already helping people in the prison yard, lose weight, working out. I lost 70 pounds in 6 months. I started like this whole camaraderie thing in the prison yard with other inmates. And it was just, it clicked. It was like, this is how I want to get back. I love training. I want to train people in groups. And I remember just imagining myself doing that while I was in the cell, just imagining that I had people right in front of me, and I had to train so many people, and I started writing everything I wanted to do down in a piece of paper. And I was released, and I just started doing it. I started doing it in the parks. It took me 2 years before I started seeing, I think the biggest group I had was like 5-6 people, mm-hmm. Like it took me 2 years of just hustling, waking up every single day, going up to everybody, wearing workout clothes and just asking them like, hey, do you work out? And just
people you didn't even know, you'd never seen before, just going up.
Yeah, bringing that same mentality. If you don't ask, you don't eat, and I just kept asking and asking. And I did the same thing when I was selling drugs. I was going up to random people telling them, yo, I got this, I got that. And I just brought it to play, in the fitness game, and just kept doing it.
You talked about when you're in your jail cell, visualizing, running a workout class, writing down your goals. Where did you learn that? Where'd you pick that up?
I don't know. Nobody taught me to like, hey, visualize or imagine that you're in a room and imagine it's a reality. It just became like something that when you're in solitary confinement, in 24-hour lockdown, your head starts fucking with you, and you just got nothing to do. You got no one to talk to, you got no one to you got no entertainment. So the only entertainment is your mind. And so that became, my visualization and my dream. And I just started imagining things,
Yeah, that's crazy. Because people spend all this time. There's people who teach like online courses on visualization now, so people can learn how to do it. And you just picked it up sort of instinctively. That's really interesting. Yeah. But it works. So take us through. You're hustling in the park. You're going up to strangers. You're forming these sort of impromptu workout classes. How do you get from that point to ConBody?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of help. I joined an entrepreneurship program called the 5 Ventures that helps formerly incarcerated people start their own businesses. I was doing this in the park, and I heard about this program, and they were giving out loans, and so, I had tried to find a job. I was trying to find a job left and right. I was not being hired because of my background, and I had a whole bunch of barriers that I had to face through that. But I joined the program, and I started, just learning. I knew I had business skills, but I didn't have. I knew I had the transferable business skills, but I started really learning how to put a business plan together, how to put a financial model together, all the proper things that you need nowadays to run a business. And obviously, like, when I came home, there was no Instagram, Facebook, when I was out, like when I came home, all that thing just smacked me in my face, and I didn't know what that was, but I had to quickly learn that. And I learned that through, just experimenting and just adapting it. And even a touchscreen phone, I went in with a flip phone, came out with a touchscreen phone, so it was just a whole different world, of technology. But then thanks to the program, they helped me. But also I had mentors like Michael Rothman, who sat down with me and like taught me basics, taught me how to send a proper email, taught me how to, create a spreadsheet. I had no idea how to use Excel, I back in the day, I was using a marble notebook and writing our numbers down. You know what I mean? So it was just a learning experience. And thank God that I had a lot of mentors, and I took advantage. Like, I took advantage of everybody. If you said he was going to help me, I made sure that I was going to attack you and utilize every expertise that I could like grasp out of you and use that to my ability. And that's how ConBody came about. I was from the parks. I started renting out studios, and those studios started getting packed and flooded as media and more people, and the word of mouth started spreading. And then I couldn't handle it myself, so I hired my first trainer, and then it became, a hiring practice of just hiring people coming out of the prison system, people that I knew, people that I came across that had the same struggle as I did, trying to find a job. And that's how it came about.
So you were talking before about Defy Ventures. What type of program did they have? How difficult was it to get that loan? Like, what was the process like?
I didn't even get a loan from them. I was trying, but I didn't even get a loan from them. Mm-hmm. I basically won a couple business plan competitions, and I think accumulative, I got like $8,000-9,000 from them. They used to host like these business plan competitions of 1,000, 2,500, and I think the last one was like 5 Gs or something. I came in like third, second, and the last one I won the $5,000 prize, and then I was also like making money like on the side. I was doing other hustles. I was actually like selling T-shirts on the street. If you're in New York and you know what a city bike is, they have the city bank has the city bikes. And so I made shirts that says shitty bikes, and with the same like print, same logo. And I was like, people were laughing at me because I was like wearing all like bright blue, and riding the bike, and people would laugh and I'd be like, hey, I'm selling these shirts, and I'll have a book bag of shirts, and sell it to people for $20 a pop. And I was screen printing them and all that stuff. So doing that on the side, hustling with the fitness and training side. And I saved up enough money to, get our first studio. And then I got investment, and from there just made it happen from family and friends. I just started raising money from mentors that, invested in me.
So was that hard to get the loan from the bank to get your first studio, or is it something where the bank, if you have the money, then they were willing to do it and you had the business plan?
I didn't get no money from the bank.
Okay.
I didn't get any money for it. It was bootstrapped. I recently got like a PPP loan, and I think that was the first loan I got. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like, and I couldn't, because it was like, there was like a stipulation back then, and it changed it where formerly incarcerated people couldn't get business loans or some crazy stuff. But like Chase told me I didn't qualify because I checked the box. I had a felony. I went to other banks like Citibank and Bank of America, and I couldn't do the same. So I said I needed to figure it out myself. And then even finding a place like to operate and open up the gym, I still had to check that box. I'm formerly incarcerated, I have a felony, and nobody wanted to rent the space to me. And then I found like a little basement under a Buddhist temple, and this Buddhist lady like rented the basement, and I built it out to like a little prison cell space, and made it happen there.
Hey, just want to take a real quick minute here to talk about another libertarian podcast. If you haven't listened to Good Morning Liberty, it's a 5-day per week show. Nate and Charlie, I don't know how they do it, 5 days per week, pumping out fantastic content. Also, their Twitter game, I have to say, I've been following them on Twitter, is on point. At Good AM Liberty. Check it out. I don't know if it's Nate or Charlie running the account, but whichever one is doing it, fantastic job. Also, their show. So what is their show? They are trying to really take the onus of trying to change people's minds of how people view libertarians. And they're trying to do this by leading with a message of compassion first, rather than, pounding on your keyboard and screaming at people like libertarians love to do. So they're looking at ways in which policies impact people and using the principles of liberty to provide compassionate solutions. They both have backgrounds in healthcare. They own a healthcare IT company. Check it out, Good Morning Liberty, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe to their podcast by going to BernieLies.com, which so awesome, redirects right to their podcast links page. So check that out, Good Morning Liberty. Well, it's super interesting, and let's take us through, because I mean, you really turned that weakness of checking the box, of being a formerly incarcerated individual, turn that into your entire brand, ConBody. So take us through like that shift. Because I mean, now, I mean, you've turned that. It's kind of crazy to think about. You turn that weakness into the reason why people are looking for you, or are looking to work out with you and your trainers.
Yeah, yeah. In the beginning, I thought it was a great branding opportunity, and when I started ConBody, it was something I imagined doing. Like, it was just something I was doing. And while I was renting in like these ballet studios, I was training out of there. I had encountered a few people that just like thought it was a regular boot camp that I was running, because they were like peeking through the door and they're like, "Oh, you're running fitness classes?" And I'll be like, "Hey, come in." And I had people, as soon as they heard it was a prison workout, and they thought they knew that. Then I announced that I was like, in the beginning of class, I was like, "There's a prison style boot camp. I lost 70 pounds in 6 months doing this thing in the prison cell." And some people would walk out because they didn't
really
want to talk to me. And so I felt that discrimination, and I would crack those out. Like, some people would leave and I would just make fun of them as they were leaving, and people would laugh, but I was like, fuck this. I'm going to build a space, that I want to brand like a prison. And people are going to be aware of it. They're not going to come into the door and be like, "Oh, what is this? This is what it is. And if you don't like it, don't come in." And it was just all in my head. But it was a reporter that came in, one of the clients. She wrote for Will and Good, and she was coming to classes often. She was like, "I want to write an article on you." And she wrote, and she was like, "What do you want? What do you imagine?" I was like, "I want to build a place that looks like a prison. I want to, maybe have people with jumpsuits, get mugshots, have a prison gate, blah, blah, blah." And she wrote this, and the response was going, like, I think I got like 2,000 class booked after that article went out, and it was going crazy. And so many people were like, "When are you going to build the spot?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, now that this thing is out there, I have to do it now." Like, I put it out in the universe, like everybody heard it, and so, I pushed forward and made it happen that way.
So how did you scale from there? You opened one spot, and kind of, I mean, we'll kind of separate the pandemic and navigating that, but just talk about like scaling up, because I know you have several different locations now, right?
Yeah, we only actually have one location now. We've done a lot of pop-ups in different areas of Manhattan. We opened up a spot in Saks Fifth Avenue, which was crazy. And then we had a spot.
Why was that crazy?
Because Saks Fifth Avenue is like the bougiest store in America. We were right on top of like Louis Vuitton. Like, you see these like old ladies with, Gucci, Louis, and Fendi, and all this crazy stuff. You know what I mean? Walking by. Mm-hmm. And they'd be like, "You guys are ex-cons," and they'll like walk away, and we would have more deeper conversations with them and convince them to work out with us. It was a crazy experience. But it actually like helped change perceptions of people that have been incarcerated. Like, all my staff greet our people with a smile, "You're welcome," and what people's perception is that we're all like locked up, caged animals, rapists, killers. This is what all this media outlets like push out, and that's the mindset. And we really need to change that perception,
So let's fast forward to current times. Pandemic hits, and I was just on your website before this, looking at your website, and just have to point out one thing, and you do call it out right on the website that all your trainers are formerly incarcerated individuals. Talk about your story, so it's front and center. But so during the pandemic, it hits. Did you already have your now you have like video on demand and you have live classes. Was that all already set up, or was that something that you added because of the pandemic?
Yeah, no, we had, I had done like maybe 20 videos back then, and I had like a subscription model. I was not really focused on it. It was like videos that I shot on the iPhone 7. You know, I was like traveling, you know, going on like different trips. I was like, I remember going to Hong Kong and being in the smallest hotel room I've ever been in. You know, and I couldn't like, I felt like I was in solitary confinement because of the limited space I had. And I started doing workouts there, and I was like, you could do this anywhere, all body weight, no equipment, you know. And so I started doing workout videos everywhere I was going. And I think I had about 20 up there. And as the pandemic hit, like our subscriptions just started like going up. Everybody was like, I need to do something. And so we kept like pushing that forward, and then we revamped the website. I hired a video production guy, and we started doing more videos with all my trainers. And we've done a couple videos with my trainers in the past, but this time we like upped the production value and made it way better. And then the live stream is something that we quickly pivoted. Like day one, they told me we can't open. I was like, I'm going to send everybody a Google Hangout link. And everybody loved it. I just put a laptop in front of the studio and we started working out. And now we've just been like, right after like the Google, like the next day I was like, let's use Zoom because it's just better quality. And then I installed like actual like 4K camera that's live streaming every time we have class. And so now with the limited capacity of people that we can have in the studio, we'll have like 8 people, 10 people in the studio. And then we get live stream the classes and people are just on a Zoom call. So we run that 3 times a day.
Do you think that you were ahead of the curve and sort of transitioned faster than other gyms? Have you even kept track of that? Or
yeah, I feel like we were the first like fitness studio to like transition, because I transitioned like within the next hour, you know, and for me, it was just so easy to do. I don't have to, I'm not a big gym, you know what I mean? I'm like setting the rules. So I didn't have to ask permission. I just like, you know, told myself, do this, you know, and just quickly pivoted. And as it started getting warm outside, we started live streaming outside, you know, with double mic, people up, and then we'll just have like 50, 60 people outside in front of us, and we'll have like 20 people on Zoom, you know. So we actually started making more money, you know, because limited, like it was just unlimited capacity of the amount of people. But now it's been a little bit, it's not as good as it was. Like, you know, we stopped like the outdoor workouts like the first week of December, because in New York it was just freezing. We started getting just like a trickle of people in there, and my trainers are like, yo, I can't do this though. They're like shaking out there, you know what I mean? But some people were showing up, and then we got to open up again at a 25% occupancy. And so we're in the studio now. So limited amount of people, you know, in person, but people are still Zooming in.
Well, like, what percentage of your business is, you know, online subscriptions and video on demand, and what percent is people coming in?
I would say we have more in-person business. I would say like 70% in person, 30% online. And
then like looking ahead,
we charge more in person.
Okay, gotcha. Like looking ahead, you know, hopefully after this pandemic is over someday, do you think that the model that you kind of created with video on demand, do you think that's something that will stick and grow? Is that you're going to have like, you know, 2 different revenue streams there that you can really grow?
Yeah, we're doing it. You know, it's something that's here to stay. We got people zooming in from Germany to Amsterdam to from Hong Kong, you know what I mean? Like all over the world, you know, so it's here to stay. You know, people are doing it. People are loving it. And we have a subscription model too, that people are watching our videos where we're producing 3 new videos every week. And so we have a ton of content on our website, and it's only $14 a month. It's way cheaper than any other fitness studio that's you know, pivoting that way, and people are loving it. Like we've seen people stick around, you know, since the pandemic started.
Yeah, I think I might actually do it. I was looking at the prices. I'm like, yeah, that's really affordable.
And the workout crazy. Like you're not going to get a body weight workout like that. You know, no, everyone is like doing, I don't know. We have a whole different concept of working out. You know, it's just like nonstop hit, you know, it's not even hit. We don't even, you know, some of it is hit, but like we don't take no breaks.
Mm-hmm. So looking forward, you know, years from now, if you're looking, I don't know, 5-10 years from now, you're a guy who visualizes things. Where do you visualize ConBody, you know, 5-10 years from now? What do you think it's going to be like? How big is it going to be?
Yeah, I want to open up as many studios as possible around the country, hire people all over the country that's coming out of the prison system, and, you know, even the world. I've done a pop-up in London that was extremely successful for us. And we're working on revisiting that as the pandemic, you know, dies down. But that's the goal, is to really hire people and create a dent in the recidivism rate. And in addition, you know, grow our online subscription and create some type of hardware, you know, like Peloton has their bike. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to do a bike, but I have different ideas already that I want to implement, and I'm talking to my team about. So we need somebody that could create some hardware. I have the idea, I have the concept. We just need somebody that's a builder. I don't know how to build a robot, but I'm gonna get there.
That's awesome. How have you been advertising? Do you advertise? Do you advertise at all? Is it all word of mouth?
We just started doing like digital marketing since the pandemic. Like we because everybody was on their computer, phone, you know what I mean? Everything was rich, but before the pandemic, everything was just word of mouth, and we've trained over 50,000 people already.
Wow. If you could give advice to any of my listeners who maybe recently got out of prison, or maybe they got out of prison, you know, a long time ago, and they're just having trouble, you know, landing on their feet, having trouble getting something going, what would you tell them?
I think take advantage of every, you know, there are nonprofits around there that are helping people coming out of the prison system. You know, some might be good, some might not work for you, but I came home, I took advantage, I humbled myself. You know, I back in the day, I always thought like, I don't need anybody, I don't need any help. I took advantage of every nonprofit, Fortune Society, Career Gear, Thrive for Life. Like I took advantage of every nonprofit that was out there, and took all the resources and ran with it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, don't be shameful enough. There's some people, you know, I mean, that they think they don't need any help. You know, don't be scared to ask for help, you know, and then utilize it, you know, and be grateful that it is there. You know what I mean? So coming straight out of prison, like take advantage, you know, things might get frustrating. You know, especially if you're trying to start a business, like it's going to be the hardest thing you probably ever done in your life. You know, still difficult, you know, with the situations that I had to face, you know, starting everything up. But first try to find a job as quickly as possible, but also take advantage of, you know, all the NGOs out there.
I'm going to go back to that because I did want to ask you that before, but we went to something else. You said find a job as quickly as possible. I'm curious, someone like yourself who, you know, you've kind of always been looking for that instant gratification, looking to make money, you know, immediately. That you know, you gotta sell something to eat. have you ever had like a regular job where you're an employee? And when you had that, I mean, did you feel like you were kind of, restrained and constrained? Were you just itching to get out of there?
Sometimes. Yeah. No, but I definitely had numerous amount of jobs. I've always like sold drugs on the side when I had jobs. Like I was like a bike messenger in New York City when I was like 14, 15. And while I was doing that, I had a beeper, and I was just like, on my runs, I was going on a route and like going to see somebody, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, the hustle never stopped, but I was not, I didn't care if I had to work for somebody else. You know what I mean? I'll put that work in. When I came home, I was doing housekeeping, off the books. Like my uncle, had I was using, he was paying me he was getting paid on the books, but I was doing all the work for him. He was paying me $8 an hour. He was getting like $20 an hour.
Contracting it out.
Yeah. But I was humble enough. I didn't care. I also had that time is money. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do? Just stay home and pout. You know what I mean? I'm going to go clean the toilet. You know what I mean? And make whatever I could get. You know what I mean? Until it starts growing.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I think people, I'm just going to predict it right now that they're going to be blown away by this interview. Really, not only for people coming out of prison, but during this time right now, the pandemic, a lot of people are knocked on their ass, and it's an equal playing field. I mean, some people, maybe some people lost their jobs, some did, and some are in worse situations than others. But you can always pick yourself back up, and that's the first step. So I think this is the advice you're giving, the things you're talking about, the mindset, really turning your biggest liability, or like for you, having to check that box, turning that into your entire business. I think there's lots of people who could take that and use it in different ways. But before I let you go, I just want you to plug ConBody, plug anything else that you're working on. Let people know how they can get signed up to do these workouts anywhere in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to ConBody.com, hit us up on Instagram at ConBody, ConBody, on Twitter, TikTok, wherever you see us, every social media outlet is ConBody. I'm also working on a nonprofit called Second Chance Studios, where we're helping people coming out of the prison system start their own podcast, become audio engineers. I have my own podcast as well called Ex Dealer Ex Junkie that I started with one of my trainers as well. He's the ex junkie, I'm the ex dealer, and we're just sharing war stories, but also political issues and things of that nature, and sharing our clients' stories as well. But yeah, I mean, check us out. You already know, ConBody.
All right. Coss Marte, thanks for coming back on the show.
Thank you, bro.
Hey, everybody. Taking a quick break here from the show. Wanted to remind you all to check out my man Tyler Colford, a.k.a. Crypto Man, and his new song, Free Ross. If you didn't hear my recent interview with Lynn Ulbricht, that was Felony Friday, episode 230. Interviewed Lynn Ulbricht, played Tyler's song, Free Ross. It's fantastic, phenomenal. Not just for the message of freeing Ross Ulbricht, but overall for changing the broken criminal justice system. All the proceeds from the Free Ross song, hashtag Free Ross by Crypto Man. You can find it on Spotify and Amazon Music. 100% of the proceeds from the song, hashtag Free Ross by Crypto Man, go towards freeing Ross Ulbricht. So please check it out.
These are perilous times when they ruin your lives over victimless crimes, and they sever your ties from your business, loved ones, and family. Why? New slave labor, they barely pay you. Don't care about work ethic.
Hope you all enjoyed that interview on Finding Freedom. Another awesome guest. And hopefully you guys also have subscribed to the Lions of Liberty podcast, and you're getting all three of our unique shows in your little listening device delivered to your ears. If you haven't, please do that. Just go to your app, you know how to do it, and subscribe. You can also leave us a 5-star review and a nice comment. We would prefer if you did it on Apple Podcasts, but anywhere you can on the internet, please leave us a positive comment. Also, the 3 shows that we have, Monday's show with Mark Claire, our flagship program, our longest running program, and on Wednesday, Electric Liberty Land with Brian McWilliams. Those guys have been killing it, and I am so excited about the direction of Lions of Liberty. We're seeing some awesome numbers right now, and we're going to continue to grow, so it's great stuff. If you want to support us, we would love that too. Please go to patreon.com/Lions of Liberty. You can support us for as little as a couple bucks, or if you get in at a higher level, you get merchandise and access to us, and all the way up to you can advertise on the show or get to even produce a show. So check it all out, patreon.com/Lions of Liberty. And if you haven't checked it out yet, please consider checking out the Lions of Liberty store, where we have some awesome t-shirts. We have a Taxation is Death t-shirt with an awesome design. We have a Wax On, Tax Off t-shirt. And we're always coming up with new ideas and adding new t-shirt designs to the store. Check that out at lionsofliberty.store. And if you're in the Pride, you get a discount on anything you buy in the store. So you do both of those things and you win. That's all I got, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. This is John Odermatt signing off. Always remember to keep your head up and the fires of liberty burning.